Welcome. You didn't find this message by accident. You were guided here by something far greater than chance. If you're hearing these words right now, you can probably feel it too. That quiet movement around you, that strange magnetic current, gentle but powerful. As if the universe itself is whispering, it's almost time. Don't scroll away. Stay with me for just a few moments. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a message, it's a sign. A signal that something in your life is about to shift. In a way you may have been waiting for years. Somewhere a door is opening, and your name has been written on it for a very long time. This isn't a prediction, it's an awakening. So if your heart is ready, take a deep breath and step with me into the first chapter of this journey, where justice begins to speak and destiny starts to whisper your name. Aries, in this moment, take a deep breath, not to escape, but to listen. Not to the noise outside, but to the quiet rhythm of something approaching, a pulse of justice, of destiny, of the universe gently knocking on the door of your heart. People often fear letters sealed with authority or phone calls that carry the weight of legality. But on the level of the soul, there is no threat, only balance trying to find its way back to you. A legal notice may not come as paper or email at all. It might arrive as a dream, a sudden intuition, a whisper that says, it's time. It isn't punishment, it's an awakening. Every soul has its own archive in the fabric of the universe, a sacred record of promises, actions, and lessons. Some of those records were folded away, left unfinished, not because you were wrong, but because the time wasn't right. And now, Aries, that time has come. In the story of being human, we've all faced moments that felt unfair. Someone took credit for our work. A promise was broken. A door once opened, then slammed shut without reason. But hear me clearly, karma never sleeps. Everything once delayed or hidden is finding its way back, not as punishment, but as a perfectly timed gift. You, Aries, are the soul of fire, action, creation, beginnings. Yet even fire must pause to listen to the wind. That pause is not weakness. It's the universe asking you to receive instead of react. True justice doesn't come from human hands. It flows from the quiet rebalancing of energy. When you live with integrity, when you give without calculation, even if you're forgotten for a long winter, spring will still find its way back to you. The universe owes no one a debt. It only waits for your heart to be strong enough to receive what was always yours. If you've ever asked, when will my justice come? The answer is simple: when you no longer tremble at the word justice. Because that's when you're ready, not to fight it, but to embrace it. Imagine this for a moment. A morning light spills through your window. There's a letter in the mailbox, a message on your phone, and inside a strange stillness. No fear, no anxiety, just a quiet relief, as if the universe itself has whispered, you can rest now. That isn't coincidence. That's proof that even when you thought you were forgotten, life was working behind the curtain for you. So say this softly to yourself: I've waited long enough. I am ready for divine justice. And as you do, feel the shift begin. What once felt stuck begins to move slowly, gently, like water finding its way back to the sea. Real justice doesn't arrive to punish someone else. It comes to free your spirit from old weight, to let you breathe again. Because when you accept that truth, what you receive isn't just what was lost, it's the return of yourself. And if you're hearing this message right now, it isn't random. There are no accidental clicks in a universe built on energy. You were guided here in perfect timing, on the perfect frequency. So let your heart open, Aries, like an old wooden door that's been waiting for light to enter. On the other side, justice isn't cold or sharp. It has the face of grace, soft, kind, and deeply aware. If this message touches something inside you, take a quiet moment and offer a small prayer, not for me, but for your own soul. I am ready for the justice of the universe. I trust divine timing. When you speak those words, the universe listens, and the wheel begins to turn. Because if this message found you, it's because a door has already moved. Something behind the curtain of fate is being rearranged, quietly, precisely, and with love. And perhaps what's coming toward you isn't just a letter, but a part of your life you thought was lost, now finding its way back home. There are moments in life when everything seems to pause, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because an unseen hand is rearranging the chessboard of destiny. Every silence, every delay, even the things that look like loss, they are all part of a quiet rebalancing that the universe performs in its own rhythm. Right now, Saturn, the planet of discipline and karma, is moving retrograde through your 8th house. And that house isn't only about assets, contracts, or power. It's about karma, spiritual debts, and the deep bonds that tie one soul to another. Whenever Saturn turns backward, it's like an ancient judge entering a dimly lit chamber, opening old files left unfinished and gently asking, "Is it time to bring this back into the light?" And Pluto, the planet of transformation and rebirth, walks beside that judge, holding the torch. Its light reaches into the corners we've avoided, revealing old stories, half-healed wounds, and truths we thought were already buried. But the universe never forgets. It only waits until you're strong enough to look again, calm enough to receive. The Buddha once said, "Both good and evil are seeds. When the time and conditions are right, the fruit will appear." If you've sown patience, honesty, and compassion through the seasons of your life, then this right now is the harvest of justice. Not the noisy, fearful justice of human courts, but the quiet, precise justice of the cosmos. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive as a thunderclap. It comes as a letter that was once lost but finally finds your hands, as an overdue apology, as money you thought was gone but suddenly returns, or simply as a morning when you wake up no longer angry, no longer afraid, and feel lighter than you have in years. That's when the scales have been reset. Maybe you've asked, why did the right thing take so long to come? But perhaps it didn't come late at all. Perhaps you just needed to grow a little more, to understand a little deeper, to listen long enough to realize true justice isn't revenge. It's the quiet return of balance. The world runs on laws that seem invisible, yet they live in every breath we take. A kind act, a gentle word, even a moment of silence free of bitterness, they all tilt the cosmic scales toward the light. If each of us lived as though our energy shaped the whole, then maybe divine justice would come sooner, softer, with less pain. The wise don't ask, "When will I get mine?" They say, "I trust that everything right is being arranged." And it's inside that trust where peace begins to grow. Take a moment, just one, to remember the last time you felt truly wronged. That ache might still live somewhere in your chest, a small stone you've been carrying. Now look at it differently. If that moment hadn't happened, you might never have learned resilience. You might not have discovered how strong your heart truly is. Sometimes, adversity is the only path through which justice can be born from within. So if you're hearing this message today, take it as a sign the universe is rebalancing your scales. You don't have to fight. You don't have to prove anything. Just trust that what's meant for you, whether it's respect, love, or abundance, is already finding its way back, quietly but surely. And once you understand why it's happening, you'll stop asking when. You'll simply smile and say, "I'm ready." Because in that moment of understanding, you're no longer waiting at the gates of fate. You've stepped into a higher space, where what was lost isn't just returned. It's transformed into something brighter, purer, and more valuable than you ever imagined. Not every gift from the universe comes wrapped in ribbons and silver paper. Some arrive as the letter you've waited years to see, a call you never expected, or a single quiet second within you when you suddenly realize you've been restored. After years of endurance walking down the cold halls of doubt and fatigue, light begins to slip in. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a thin beam, but enough to tell you justice is finding your name. Maybe it's a payment, a legal document, an overdue apology, but deeper than all of that, it's recognition. Not from the world, but from the universe itself, the one that's been watching every honest breath you've ever taken. People often believe that justice means victory. But sometimes, the greatest gift justice brings isn't money or status. It's the feeling of being seen, understood, and restored. It's that moment when you look back and realize every effort, every sacrifice, every tear had meaning. None of it was lost. It was simply waiting for this moment to return to you as confirmation that you were right to believe. There's a story I once heard about a woman who spent 10 years fighting to prove her innocence. When the final verdict came, she didn't cry. She didn't even smile. She just closed her eyes and breathed. Someone asked her, "How does it feel to be vindicated?" She whispered, "I never needed to win. I just needed to know that truth still exists in this world." And in her eyes, there was a light no court could ever grant, the light of peace. If you're hearing this now, maybe you've lived through something similar. Years of working hard without recognition, loving deeply but being doubted, holding faith when others gave up too soon. But now the wheel is turning. Doors that once closed are quietly unlocking. Your name is being spoken in rooms where it was once forgotten, like an old song being played again, but this time on a higher frequency, clearer, purer, and the world is finally ready to listen. Let these words sink into you. Your name is being spoken in rooms where you were once dismissed. Justice is no longer a wish, it's already moving. Justice is no longer something you whisper for in the dark. It has left the silence, and it's walking toward you step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat. When the current of fairness begins to flow, you'll see small signs everywhere. A door opens. Someone from the past reaches out. An opportunity you thought was gone returns. But don't mistake this for luck. It's not luck. It's the soul's overdue delivery right on time. The universe never forgets the path of truth. Look back for a moment. How many times did you almost give up yet chose to stand tall? How many times did you believe in goodness even when the world around you didn't? Those moments carved your name into the map of light, and today that light is calling you home. Right now, if your heart trembles a little, say this softly with ease. I receive what's rightfully mine with peace and gratitude. When you speak those words, your energy shifts. You're no longer the one waiting, you're the one ready. True justice doesn't just close old stories. It opens new chapters, ones where you're seen differently, where the old wounds no longer define who you are. So receive without defense, without fear. No one can take away the light that was always meant for you, because that light was born to find its way back. And when you feel it return, be still. Because right now, the universe is whispering, you've traveled far enough. Now it's time to come home. The door ahead is quietly opening. A new wind brushes against your hair. Beyond it lies no battlefield, no struggle, only the ground of surrender, of trust, of open hands and open heart. And as you step through, you'll understand, when the universe returns what was once lost, it also places a gentle request inside your heart. Be brave enough to let go. There are battles that never happen on a battlefield. They unfold quietly inside the human heart, where we try to hold everything with both hands, terrified that if we let go, it will all fall apart. But sometimes it's in that very moment when we stop fighting, stop chasing, stop trying to prove, that the universe finally begins to work. We grow up in a world that teaches us to control, to plan, to fight to keep what we have. But no one tells us that there is another kind of strength, the strength of surrender. Not surrender from despair, but surrender born from awareness. Like a pilgrim who, after a long journey, finally realizes the path was never beneath his feet, it was within his heart all along. When I speak of letting go, many think it means weakness. But letting go is the wisdom of one who has seen the truth, that everything arriving has its reason, and everything leaving has its purpose. The Buddha taught, only when the hand is empty can it receive a full bowl of water. If you keep gripping too tightly, the water spills. But when you open your palm, the flow naturally finds its way in. Maybe you're tired after years of holding on, fighting to keep what no longer belongs to you. A relationship, a job, an old belief. Maybe you've asked, why do I do everything right and still feel no peace? Sometimes the answer lies in one simple word, release. Letting go isn't giving up. It's trusting that there's a larger current, a divine order already at work even when you can't see it. It's standing still in the middle of the storm, not to hide, but to listen. To hear your own voice, the quiet, honest one deep inside that whispers, you don't have to fight anymore. The war is over. The current is already carrying you. Remember, in nature, no river forces itself to flow. It just moves around stones, through roots, beneath shadows until it finds the sea. And in that surrender, it discovers its greatest strength. Humans are no different. When you stop resisting life's rhythm, when you stop comparing, controlling, and forcing, you'll see everything begin to find its natural alignment again. I once met a man who had lost everything: his job, his home, his reputation. He said those years felt like falling into a deep canyon. But at the very bottom, he stopped struggling. He told me, "When I had nothing left to hold onto, I realized how vast my heart truly was. And in that emptiness, a new path appeared." Mindful surrender isn't defeat, it's the highest form of faith. If you're moving through chaos right now, pause, place your hand on your chest, take a slow, deep breath, and whisper softly, "I trust divine timing. I trust that everything happening has a purpose." Let those words fall into your heart like the first drops of rain after a long drought, soothing the dry soil of your worry. You don't need to know exactly what's coming next. You just need to believe that if your heart stays clear, what comes will be right, and what leaves will also be right. The universe never loses its way. It only waits for you to stop fighting, so it can finally do its part. When you release your grip, you don't lose control. You simply hand it over to a greater wisdom, a higher intelligence that knows exactly where this road is leading. And maybe, just maybe, when you think you're drifting, you're actually being lifted, carried toward the shore you've been praying for all along. If these words touch you, offer a quiet prayer, or write it simply as a whisper to the stars. I trust divine timing. Let each word become a seed, rising into the sky like a signal of faith. Because every time one soul chooses trust, the whole universe shifts in response. And when you truly let go, when you no longer need to control the outcome, you'll begin to see the miracle unfold. Not loudly, not in fireworks, but softly, like dawn slipping through the window. Everything will start to rearrange itself, gently, gracefully, as if it had always belonged exactly there. Because once your hands are open, the universe will quietly reset the stage, guiding the old roles to exit, and inviting the new faces, the new light, to step in. Not every kind of exhaustion means you're breaking down. Sometimes, it's your soul whispering, "It's time to change direction." That sense of confusion, weariness, or emptiness you've been feeling, it's not punishment. It's an energy reset. Like an old house being cleared before it's restored, a part of you is preparing for a deep and sacred transformation. In astrology, when Uranus and Pluto stir the sky together, the old structures start to shake. The job that once made you proud now feels heavy. The relationship that once held you now feels too small. The belief that once saved you now confines you. Don't be afraid. This isn't the end, it's an opening. It's where the universe begins to rearrange things, moving you away from what no longer fits, guiding you toward a brighter horizon. Like a snake shedding its skin, you're being invited into your own cycle of renewal. The friction, the discomfort, even the ache of loss, these are signs that your soul is growing. Pluto doesn't destroy, it transforms. Uranus doesn't take away, it liberates. And you, even if you don't realize it yet, are being moved not away from life, but closer to your truth. The world teaches us how to hold on. Few ever teach us how to let go. But sometimes when a door closes, it isn't rejection. It's simply saying, "You've outgrown this room. You can't keep blooming in a pot that's too small." So if you feel suffocated, take it as nature's invitation. Step outside. I remember once on a radio show, a woman in her 50s told me how she lost the job she'd held her entire life. She said, "I thought I'd failed, but then I realized that door had to close so I could open one that mattered. I didn't lose my job, I was given a purpose." That's how the universe works. It takes away the smaller thing to return the greater one. So if you feel tired, lost, or uninspired right now, don't punish yourself. Pause, place your hand over your heart and ask, what part of my life has become too small for my soul? Maybe it's a relationship where you can't be yourself anymore. Maybe it's an old dream you're still chasing, even though it no longer mirrors who you are now. Or maybe it's the belief that you have to be strong all the time, when in truth, sometimes it's softness that opens the light. Don't try to hold on to what's fading. Because when you do, you block the hand of the universe that's trying to give you something better. Life isn't a series of losses, it's a series of exchanges. Whatever leaves takes the energy that no longer belongs to you, so that the empty space can welcome something purer. Even the sky must darken before dawn breaks. The moment when everything feels like it's collapsing, that may be the exact moment a new foundation is forming beneath you. And here's the beauty. You don't have to understand it all right now. You only have to trust that every disruption has its own intelligence. If these words touch you, share this reflection. What part of my life has become too small for my soul? Write it not to complain, but to release. Because when you name it, you're signaling to the universe, I'm ready to rise to the next level. When you stop clinging, destiny can lift you. When you stop fixing what's meant to leave, the universe can send what's meant to stay. That's the natural law of rebirth. Only when we release the old can the new find room to bloom. And maybe, in the moment you realize that fatigue isn't a punishment but guidance, you'll feel lighter, like a river that stops fighting the current and suddenly finds a new path, calm and clear. Let that energy carry you now, toward the place where what's fading ends in peace, and what's meant for you opens softly, like dawn after the storm. Because when you stop fighting for what's leaving, your heart finally has room to receive what's staying, love, peace, and the true power that has always lived within you. When the storms have passed, what remains is not ruin, but stillness. A rare kind of quiet that only comes after you've cried enough, forgiven enough, and finally grown ready to live a little lighter. There's a moment in every life when you look back at the faces of the past, at the memories that once made you tremble, and realize they no longer do. Not because you've forgotten, but because your heart has learned how to accept. That's the moment when Venus and Saturn meet, love and lesson, grace and discipline. One planet teaches you how to feel, the other how to grow. And when these two energies intertwine, the soul begins a quiet rebirth. Not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Some come back only to help you close the door gently. They are messengers, not destiny. They appear so you can learn the final lesson, to love without holding on. In Buddhist wisdom, there's a beautiful truth. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Because when you forgive, you're not erasing the past. You're simply releasing its grip on your spirit. When you let go, you're not weak, you're choosing freedom. Every resentment, if held too long, becomes a chain. But once released, it turns into light, weaving itself through every breath, every dream, every gentle glance you offer the world. And through that journey, you learn the holiest truth of all, to love yourself in the right way. Not indulgently, but with understanding. To love the parts that hurt, the parts still clumsy, the parts you once tried to hide. When you can love yourself like that, you stop searching for validation outside. You become the source of light itself. From that place, real love finds you, not to fill your emptiness, but to shine beside you. I once met a woman who had lived through years of heartbreak. One day she sat by her window looking out at her garden and smiled. I asked why. She said, I just realized I no longer want anyone to apologize. I only want to say thank you, because through them I found myself. That sentence felt like a small lamp lighting up an entire room, because in gratitude every wound dissolves. If you're hearing this now, maybe you're standing at that same threshold, where you've survived the storm, grown tired of holding on, and now you just want peace. Know this, that doesn't mean you've lost your fire. It means your flame is changing. Burning softer now, but deeper, steadier. True love doesn't come from promises. It comes from presence. From eyes that don't judge. From hands that don't demand. From a heart that doesn't seek to possess. And before anyone else can love you that way, you must learn to love yourself that way first. Maybe today there's still something you can't release. A memory, a person, a half-finished dream. Try whispering it softly. I choose peace over the past. You don't have to shout it. Just breathe it in. And let those words flow quietly into your chest, because each time you say it, the universe hears, and the scattered pieces of your soul begin to return, like shards of mirror finding their way back, reflecting the light whole again. Real love doesn't break you, it heals you. And peace doesn't come from the world outside, but from the small, sacred choice inside. The moment you decide you no longer wish to carry war in your heart. When that peace begins to spread, you'll notice something almost magical. It's not the world that's changed, it's the way you see it. Colors soften, people feel kinder, and you, the one who once believed you had to fight to survive, suddenly realize you're truly living. If these words touch you, leave a quiet prayer behind. I choose peace over the past. It isn't just a phrase, it's a ritual. A moment where your soul is allowed to return home, whole, unburdened, and full of grace. Because when peace finally returns, the universe sends you its final message, one written with your name, in the light and mercy of destiny itself. And then, when the light softens, when every chapter before this has quietly closed, you realize there's nothing left to wait for, because everything you've been asking for is already here in this very moment. No one left to prove anything to, nothing left to hold on to. Justice has been served. The river of abundance is flowing again. And your soul, after its long journey of endurance, resilience, and faith, is finally free. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are exactly where you're meant to be, where the flame in your heart touches the door that destiny carved your name into long ago. That door doesn't open with force. It opens with faith. Faith, not the kind you speak, but the kind you live. Because when you believe, energy begins to move. When you believe, the stars start shifting. And when you believe, the universe knows this soul is ready to receive. Look back at how far you've come, the wounds that turned into light, the mistakes that became wisdom, the losses that made room for grace. This is alignment, when destiny and soul finally walk side by side. There is no longer conflict between what you want and what you deserve, because now they are one. Many think miracles come from outside, but truthfully they begin within. Miracles are born the moment you stop doubting yourself, when you choose to open instead of close, when you choose love instead of resistance. That's when divine justice moves, softly, precisely, and with deep compassion. If you're hearing these words, know that your energy is reaching farther than you realize. Every breath you take, every small choice you make from love, is helping calm the world just a little bit. So let your heart speak what your soul has known all along. I open my heart to divine justice and miracles. When you say it, the energies around you begin to shift, like wind brushing the surface of a still lake, causing light to shimmer across the water. Every word you speak, no matter how small, creates ripples that travel far, carrying messages of fairness, gratitude, and love. And in that stillness, you hear something faint, a heartbeat from within whispering, "Thank you." Not thank you because life was easy, but because it was real. Because every ache taught you how to love. Because you are still here, still breathing, still waking to the light each morning. Only through gratitude does the soul truly open. Not gratitude for what was given, but for what was awakened. Gratitude for understanding that even darkness helped you find your inner flame. Hold this moment as your still point in the stream of life. Don't rush away. Feel your breath. Feel the light. Feel your own presence. Because right here, right now, you are in perfect alignment with everything that is yours. Justice has arrived. Prosperity has opened. And you, the soul of fire, are free from all that once held you. No more fear, no more confusion, only the light of truth, the warmth of gratitude, and the dawn of something entirely new. Thank you, brave soul, for walking with me all the way to the end of this journey. Thank you for allowing me to give voice to the language of the universe within you. May you walk in peace, stand in truth, and receive everything that has always belonged to you. And until we meet again, stay radiant, stay awake, and live free, like the flame you were born to be.